to go.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Kanye.
I've been doing this more than you.
You live in a conflict zone, buddy.
You push ladies out the way. You push ladies.
I don't push them
yes,
out
you
of
do.
the way.
Fact.
James, this is about you, not me.
Oh.
And you are in the conflict forever because you can't get out of your own way.
I did grab his butt. I'm single, but I think that's cougar rape.
So was the butt grab spontaneous?
Well, it better be, because that's just weird if it isn't. Yeah, you know, I gave him a kiss and there was a lot of lipstick, and then my partner Luke decided to wipe it off, and I was like, no, asshole, I did that for a reason.
But there's a time when you snuck into the room to see what the...
I sneaked into the room. Snuck isn't a word, Conan, and you went to Harvard and you should know that.
Newly released video this morning shows Bill Cosby refusing to discuss sexual assault allegations. The Associated Press interviewed the comedian and his wife Camille 2 weeks ago about their art collection. And Cosby was also asked about the women who claim he drugged and attacked them.
No, we don't answer that.
Okay. I just wanted to ask if you wanted to respond at all about whether any of that was true.
There's no response.
What was your what did you think?
Could I take him in a wrestling match?
Nice.
Could I tackle him on the set?
That's Matt Lauer recalling his rather volatile sit-down with Tom Cruise in 2005. You remember the one.
You know Ritalin. You know now that Ritalin is a street drug. Do you understand that?
The difference is this was not
Matt,
against
Matt,
her
I'm
will,
ask,
though.
Matt,
But
I'm
this wasn't
Matt, I'm
against
asking you a
Brooke's will.
question. Matt, I'm asking you a question.
I understand there's abuse of all of these things.
No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do.
Okay, well, this was an unfortunate invitation because it seemed as if Jay Leno previously interviewed Gordon Ramsay earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. Then Sofia Vergara came on, clearly like the beginning of Modern Family 8 years ago. Yeah. And he was like being creepy in his words and his touching. Yeah. To the point where she yelled no touching and smacked him, which I appreciated. Sure. Totally loved the smacking part. Like, get your hands off me.
Can't take his eyes off Sofia Vergara.
Men look at you and they think only of sin.
They say Hollywood is filled with glamour and bright lights, but sometimes that sparkle masks raw, unfiltered tension lurking just below the surface. Celebrities are human, prone to heated arguments, spontaneous meltdowns, and unscripted moments that throw an entire audience into awkward silence. Today, we're uncovering a series of infamous celebrity clashes, interviews, and public outbursts, so uncomfortable you might feel secondhand embarrassment from just hearing about them. From minor insults that spiraled out of control to emotional confrontations with nowhere to hide, these shocking and sometimes cringeworthy moments prove that all the fame and fortune in the world can't always guarantee composure. Buckle up, because once we dive into these raw encounters, you might never see your favorite stars the same way again. Gordon Ramsay's reputation as a fiery chef precedes him, and Sofia Vergara is famously spirited. On a late-night talk show appearance, many viewers anticipated comedic chemistry, two outspoken personalities bantering for laughs. At first, it seemed innocent enough, with Ramsay teasing Vergara about her pizza-eating habits and her energetic behavior. But things took a turn when Ramsay brought up her teenage son, Manolo, poking fun at his name and implying it sounded like something else entirely. Vergara's uncomfortable laughter signaled that the playfulness had crossed a line. She attempted to steer the conversation back to safer ground, but Ramsay leaned in further, making more comments and even getting handsy at one point. In the past, Vergara has handled countless interviews with ease, but this particular encounter visibly rattled her. In a separate appearance, she would later say she's used to comedic teasing. After all, it's part of the territory as a sitcom star. But this segment quickly morphed into an interaction where she seemed more like a target than a participant. Ramsay's track record of harsh criticism in the kitchen clearly bled into his talk show persona, leaving Vergara and everyone watching caught off guard by the chef's forwardness. Picture a prestigious awards ceremony, where the atmosphere is typically refined and polite. Now imagine the audience collectively cringing as two beloved British entertainers clash in a way nobody saw coming. Sir Patrick Stewart took the stage to present an award, only to call out James Corden for his posture and perceived lack of respect. Stewart openly criticized Corden for standing with his hands in his pockets, gazing around the stage as though he didn't want to be there. Corden, clearly taken aback, tried to smooth things over with humor. He insisted he hadn't meant any offense. But Stewart wasn't budging. He escalated the situation further by commenting on Corden's belly, implying the comedian's body language was an eyesore for the crowd. The two volleyed jabs back and forth, creating an atmosphere so thick You could almost feel everyone in the room wishing they could disappear. For an audience used to seeing these men act like gentlemen, it was an unexpected spectacle. Stewart is typically regarded as gracious, while Corden is known for his playful warmth on television. Yet in this moment, neither would back down. By the time the exchange ended, viewers were left with jaws on the floor, wondering if backstage apologies were ever exchanged, or if this was simply two performers locked in a public power struggle. Long before serious accusations surfaced against Bill Cosby, he was seen as a wholesome father figure in comedy. But one early talk show appearance with a young Sofia Vergara has become chilling to watch in hindsight. Cosby commented on her figure and made suggestive remarks that came off as lecherous, especially now, considering what the public has learned about him since then. Vergara's radiant smile froze into a tight-lipped laugh, as Cosby declared she made him feel excited. He even hinted that men were thinking only sinful thoughts when looking at her. At the time, it seemed like outdated comedic flirting, yet the lingering sense of something off was apparent even then. The host's tone, the leering gaze, and the clearly uneasy guest trying to maintain her composure on national television. Years later, when disturbing stories about Cosby's conduct emerged, clips like these took on a whole new meaning. Looking back, it's painfully obvious how uncomfortable Vergara was. She attempted to brush it off politely, but that tension was impossible to ignore. It was the kind of moment that left viewers squirming in their seats, unsure whether to laugh or feel deeply unsettled. Now we shift to a morning talk show meltdown. Tom Cruise's notorious clash with Matt Lauer on The Today Show. Cruise was there to discuss his criticism of actress Brooke Shields for using medication to cope with postpartum struggles. Viewers expected a measured conversation, but Cruise's frustrations soared when Lauer pressed him on the topic of psychiatry, antidepressants, and the reality of mental health. Cruise firmly claimed psychiatry isn't scientifically valid and insisted there's no chemical imbalance behind conditions like postpartum depression. Lauer attempted to offer counterpoints, but Cruise shot back, accusing the host of not doing enough research. That's when he lobbed the now iconic "you're glib" line, indicating he felt Lauer was parroting information without genuine understanding. Many fans were shocked. Cruise was seen as one of Hollywood's most charismatic stars, but here he seemed incredulous and combative. In the days that followed, tabloids devoured the feud. Even after the dust settled, the interview remained a defining moment in Cruise's public image. It showed how quickly a seemingly routine segment can implode when two strong opinions collide, especially when the topic is as sensitive as mental health treatment. Television hosts often walk a fine line between prying for ratings and respecting personal boundaries. Lindsay Lohan learned this the hard way during a particularly agonizing interview with David Letterman. She appeared on Late Show to promote a project, only for Letterman to ambush her about her upcoming rehab stint. As he peppered her with personal questions about her struggles, Lohan visibly teared up, trying to pivot back to the film at every chance. A similarly awkward scene played out when Paris Hilton returned to Letterman's show post-jail. She'd made it clear she wanted to discuss her clothing line, movies, and perfume, anything but her time in the slammer. Letterman, however, seemed fixated on that very subject. Despite promising he wouldn't dwell on it, he pressed her relentlessly. Hilton's repeated attempts to steer the conversation away fell on deaf ears. Both interviews highlight the real imbalance of power in celebrity talk shows. Even if a guest sets boundaries beforehand, the host might disregard them in pursuit of ratings gold. Lohan's emotional reaction and Hilton's insistence on changing the subject only fueled the sense that viewers were witnessing a breach of trust, all wrapped up in comedic banter for late-night television. Award shows are typically filled with polished acceptance speeches and friendly banter. That's why viewers were stunned when Jenny McCarthy planted a surprise kiss on a then-teenage Justin Bieber at the American Music Awards. The unexpected smooch wasn't just a peck. It left Bieber wiping his mouth, clearly disoriented. McCarthy joked about cougar fantasies, but for the teenage pop star on stage, it was an unwelcome ambush. He laughed it off at first, but later described feeling violated. Given his age and McCarthy's overt physical gesture, many questioned whether this double standard would be acceptable if their genders were reversed. Fans and media outlets buzzed with debate, some accusing McCarthy of crossing a line that shouldn't be crossed, especially with a minor. It's a moment that underscores how celebrity encounters aren't always as charming as they appear in highlight reels. While some might argue McCarthy was just joking around, others found the whole exchange entirely inappropriate. Either way, Bieber's discomfort was undeniable, and the incident has remained a reference point whenever discussions about boundaries and consent in Hollywood arise. Relationships between parents and their adult children can be complicated, especially when your family is famous. During an Oscars red carpet interview, Dakota Johnson urged her mom, Melanie Griffith, to see 50 Shades of Grey, the film that catapulted Dakota to mainstream stardom. The conversation quickly turned tense as Griffith insisted she couldn't watch her daughter in such provocative scenes. Dakota grew visibly irritated, firing back that it wasn't a big deal, and that her mother should trust her artistic choices. Observers noted the uneasy smiles and tight-lipped exchanges. The mother-daughter tension was out in the open for the world to see, culminating in that moment where Dakota quipped that Griffith was basically dismissing her hard work. It was an unusual scenario for a Hollywood family, who typically put on united fronts at high-profile events. Instead, the brief but telling disagreement offered a rare glimpse into genuine family dynamics, complete with awkward laughter and exasperated expression. Anyone watching could sense the underlying friction, personal boundaries clashing with professional accomplishments. Burt Reynolds had a legendary Hollywood career, but in one on-camera moment, he showed that old-school stars can be just as quick-tempered as anyone else. While discussing a personal topic, his divorce, Reynolds felt the interviewer poked fun at him in a disrespectful way. After a snappy retort from the host, Reynolds resorted to tossing water in his direction. The audience watched in disbelief as what began as mild irritation escalated to borderline chaos. Reynolds was no stranger to confrontation, but this public spat played out with a comedic flair that somehow made it even more uncomfortable. It wasn't every day you saw a screen legend fling water at a talk show host, yet there it was, forever captured on tape. Many fans loved Reynolds for his old-fashioned charm and macho persona, but in that moment, the charm took a backseat to genuine frustration. Some argued he was justified in defending himself from a rude joke. Others believed it was an overreaction. Either way, the entire spectacle served as another reminder that live interviews can walk a razor-thin line between entertaining banter and disastrous conflict. When two passionate personalities collide on live radio, sparks are bound to fly. Kanye West's interview with Sway Calloway began as a discussion about Kanye's fashion pursuits and frustrations within the industry. Tension rose quickly when Sway suggested Kanye could forge his own path without big corporate backing. That's when Kanye erupted. "You ain't got the answers, Sway?" echoing the phrase repeatedly and raising his voice. The moment became iconic, summing up Kanye's fiercely uncompromising approach to creativity and business. Sway, to his credit, tried to maintain calm, explaining he had also invested money in a clothing line, only for Kanye to shoot back about having done it on a much larger scale. For a few seconds, it seemed like the two might come to blows as Kanye's voice sharpened and Sway's frustration mounted. Yet, Sway managed to steer them back into conversation, famously telling Kanye, "We can turn all this *** off," reminding him they didn't have to keep the confrontation going. In the end, both men apologized for raising their voices, but the interview remains a hallmark of Kanye's unfiltered passion and one of the most intense moments in hip-hop broadcasting. On a lighter but still tense note, Jennifer Garner and Conan O'Brien once sparred over the word snuck during a talk show. Garner insisted that snuck wasn't a valid term, pointing out O'Brien's Harvard background and implying he should know better. Conan defended himself, whipping out a dictionary reference mid-show to prove snuck is recognized in modern usage. The banter was playful. Garner smiled through most of it. But there was a slight edge to the exchange. Conan's comedic pride was on the line, and Garner teased him for any potential slip in grammar. Audiences laughed along, but some perceived a genuine tension beneath the laughter, as if both were half joking, half serious in their attempts to come out on top. While this moment didn't involve personal insults or physical threats, it highlighted how easily minor disagreements can become viral snippets, feeding the public's appetite for celebrity awkwardness. Both stars are typically known for being easygoing, so the confrontation, light-hearted though it was, still surprised fans who never imagined an innocent grammar point could spark on-air friction. Actor Gary Busey has always been known for his unpredictable energy. During a reality television taping, tensions skyrocketed between Busey and actor Leslie Jordan. As the cameras rolled, the two began hurling personal insults, with Jordan accusing Busey of acting like a big spiritual guru, yet displaying no kindness to anyone in the house. Busey fired back, urging Jordan to come on, inviting a face-to-face showdown. The entire cast looked on, uncertain whether the altercation would become physical. Busey's fiery demeanor contrasted sharply with Jordan's smaller stature and trademark wit. But in that moment, neither seemed to be joking. The confrontation crackled with genuine animosity. The scene illuminated the raw intensity that can unfold when strong personalities clash in close quarters. For many viewers, it was difficult to watch two beloved but polar opposite figures devolve into shouting matches. Yet ironically, it was a testament to how reality TV's unscripted nature sometimes offers a clearer, albeit uncomfortable, glimpse of celebrities' true temperaments. Hollywood is an industry built on dazzling illusions. Yet these unguarded moments remind us that beneath every red carpet gown or carefully curated persona, there are real people, flawed, emotional, and sometimes just plain fed up. From Sir Patrick Stewart's pointed callouts, to Tom Cruise's passionate diatribe against psychiatric meds, to Kanye's unforgettable meltdown, each explosive scene offers a glimpse behind the facade. Sometimes it's hilarious, like Jennifer Garner and Conan O'Brien bickering over the word snuck. Other times, it's downright uncomfortable, seeing Sofia Vergara cringe under intrusive jokes from Gordon Ramsay or Bill Cosby. Tension can brew on a talk show, an award stage, or a press junket, and the results can range from comedic gold to deeply unsettling. In an age where every encounter is captured and shared globally within minutes, these notorious clashes become part of celebrity lore. They're cautionary tales that no amount of fame, fortune, or media training can fully guard a star from a moment of raw humanity slipping out. Perhaps that's why we can't stop watching. These stumbles, confrontations, and awkward silences remind us that even the brightest stars can crack under the glare of the spotlight. And now, after witnessing some of Hollywood's most cringeworthy and sometimes explosive moments, we can't help but wonder, who's next? What future interview or live broadcast will deliver another instance of unfiltered drama? Only time will tell. But one thing's certain, fans and paparazzi alike will be there to capture every second of it. Feel free to share your thoughts below about which awkward moment had you squirming the most. Did a particular feud or interview strike you as especially mind-boggling? Let the debate begin. And remember, every icon has a breaking point, and sometimes their unguarded moments are just a camera roll away.